I'm Sean Kosofsky, the Nonprofit Fixer, and this is a video about nonprofit leadership and executive coaching. How it's priced, how to access it, whether it's for you, and a few other details. If you're watching this video, you're either already on my blog page up above where we talk in depth about nonprofit executive and leadership coaching. But if you're on my YouTube channel, you want to head over to my blog and read the full piece, The Ultimate Guide to Nonprofit Executive Leadership Coaching. So leadership coaching is really with someone who, the coach, is someone who has expertise or experience in coaching or in the field. So you generally want someone who has leadership or subject matter expertise as your coach. But there is a difference between a coach and a consultant. Coaches, generally, you don't need subject matter expertise. Either you're certified or you've been doing a particular thing for a long time and you know how to get people results. But coaches in general don't need to be subject matter experts or organizational experts. But if you're a consultant, you absolutely need to be either a subject matter expert or an industry expert or a particular skill expert. If you're a coach and a consultant, that's the best of both worlds. In my situation, I not only am a coach, but I've also worked in the nonprofit sector and been an executive director 5 times. I'm both a consultant, expert, and coach. It means I've got more tools. It means I've got more background, context, and assistance that I can provide for you in both contexts. So what is leadership coaching exactly? You're going to want to think about leadership coaching as developing your own skills in life or in your career. And in general, we're talking about leadership skills like decision-making, social and emotional attributes, self-awareness, limiting beliefs, mindset issues, or maybe even imposter syndrome or burnout, management, modeling the behavior you want from your workers or your board, judgment, temperament. These are all sorts of things you'll want to be tackling through leadership coaching. But coaching is really about a transformation. This is the difference between coaching and consulting. So consulting in general is about solving problems, hiring an expert to help you solve a problem, whereas coaching typically is about transformation. I'm in this current state, I want to get to a different state, a better state. So here's where I am today. We're going to take stock of that and we're going to do a set of things that are going to move me to the next level. That is coaching, either personal or professional coaching. And there's also a difference between therapy and coaching. Some people ask this question all the time. My coach, DL, said beautifully that therapy tends to be about the past. Now, this is an oversimplification, but therapy tends to be about the past. What brought you to therapy? Things that have happened in your past, maybe in your marriage, maybe things you're struggling with. But coaching is really about the future. It is really about transformation and in the future. And the folks that I would say are a good fit for coaching are your mid-level to high-level performers. You don't want to put a low-performing individual through coaching. What they need is training or a performance improvement plan, but generally coaching is not the right fit for someone who is underperforming. Coaching is not necessarily a reward, but it is an investment that the person is going to perform well in the future. So how much does nonprofit coaching cost? Basically, you're looking at anywhere between $2,500 to $25,000 for an engagement. Most coaches will only want to work with you at 6 months or longer. Some coaches will do a shorter, expedited window, maybe 3 months, if there is an accelerated impact that you need or results that you need, or you're in a hurry for some reason. I do 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month packages, but most people do 6 months. So what are the factors that go into pricing? Essentially, the budget of your organization, the one paying, does factor into what the coach might charge. Also, the size of the coaching practice. I'm a solopreneur, so I get to charge smaller prices because I'm a small business. But if you're working with a huge coaching practice, they're probably going to have higher prices. Not because the coaching is better, but because they have more expenses in general. You're also going to have an impact on the price based on who's paying. If it's the the coachee, or the organization. So if my nonprofit is paying, you might find a consultant or coach charging more. If it's an individual paying, they might cut you a deal because you have a smaller revenue stream to deal with. So those are just some of the factors: size of the organization, who's paying, and then the final one is the prominence of the coach. If you're dealing with a big name coach, they might charge you more simply because of their prestige or because of their only wanting to work with a few people. It doesn't mean you're going to get better coaching, it just means that you're paying for the cachet and the name. So they might be good and extra worth the extra cost, but it doesn't necessarily mean so. So what goes on in a coaching arrangement? So if you hire a coach, a couple things are going to happen. First, you'll sign a contract, of course. Then you might be presented with a coaching agreement. So we're both going to show up for calls. We're both going to lead with authenticity. We're going to do some things together in this coaching container. And then you're going to probably do some sort of questionnaire or inventory or discovery work. So your first call and your first intake form are going to help level set and get you ready to go. And then your first call might be a kickoff call of sorts where you set goals and then plan the success and a coaching plan for the rest of the engagement. But this always looks different depending on the coach. And then you're going to have coaching sessions, typically 45 to 60 minutes in a session. And you might have homework in between sessions or assignments or things to do or tools to read, things like that. In addition to these, you might even have additional tools or exercises that your coach want to throw at the program. So let's say your coach says we need to do a 360 review. We want to figure out the input from people above you, below you, and next to you in your organization. Or we're going to do a personality test. These are additional tools that your coach might want to throw at the engagement, and they typically come at an extra cost. So you can talk with your coach about that. But these are a whole bunch of different things you can do, electing to do those in your coaching engagement. How do you find an executive coach as a nonprofit leader? Actually, I believe it's word of mouth. It's referrals. The best way to find a coach is asking someone who has worked with that coach whether they found the experience to be positive. That is the single best way to find a coach instead of Google or just randomly taking suggestions from a Facebook group. You definitely want referrals from people who have worked with that coach. And then after you've decided on a coach, some questions you might want to ask them is, what does success look like for you in a coaching arrangement? What helps you make me successful in a coaching session? What are your values? What's your approach to dealing with my performance or my struggles? So asking a coach these things around values and what's their style and what's their demeanor. Are they more pointed? Are they more directive? Or are they more empathetic? These are the kinds of questions you'll want to ask and then decide for yourself. You may also want to ask about their level of experience in your sector or in your skill set in case that matters to you. And that's pretty much it. These are the core ways in just a few minutes to think about executive coaching, but coaching can be powerful. Many people in the corporate and nonprofit world use coaches to help them get results, and that's what it's about. So hopefully this has been helpful for you, and let me know in the comments down below if you found this useful.